Life sucks. Sometimes. Startups fail. Your relationships are maybe challenged. You have a great business idea. Nobody believes in it. Sounds familiar? It does suck at times because life is full of failures and challenges and change. And that can feel really bad at times. And yet, tackling challenges in a creative way can really lead you to things, to ideas and developments that you could never foresee in the first place. But let's stop being pessimistic. At least we're all here, right? We're all alive. 300 humans that survived evolution. Fantastic. All the failures of evolution has passed by you. You're all here. Fantastic. So congratulations. I'd like to share 3 thoughts with you today. The first thought is about the thinking process. Think expansive. So how does that work? Let's say that you're the owner of an airline company, and the challenge is you need to boost sales. So you need to come up with great new ideas in order to drive your business. What's the typical scenario? You set up a brainstorming session. Some people in the room, you throw ideas onto paper, and paper gets stuck on flip charts, and you discuss ideas. What do you hear in those brainstorming sessions? Oh, that's a nice idea, but it's not going to work because of X. That's also a nice idea, but it's not going to work because of Y. You also hear all these buts. But. If you only think about buts, that's restrictive, right? It kills ideas in the first place before they even get developed. You need to think with ands. Ideas need to be answered with ands, and you need to build on those ideas. So let's create a crazy idea that, of course, is impossible, but it could be a basis for some great ideas that could come out of that. So let's imagine that you would put seats outside of the airplane. You have an airplane and you put the chairs outside on the wings. Crazy, right? It's not possible. It's illegal. It's going to kill you. Yes, you are going to die. It's too cold. You're going to suffocate. I don't like the idea. But it's actually a great idea because let's build on that idea. What's the advantage of having airplane seats on the outside of a plane? Well, you have fresh air, right? Yes, and fresh air. And yes, you have loads of leg room. You can walk around on the wing. Fantastic. Your kids can play. You can sleep. You have lots of space. It's amazing. And what a view! My God! Look at that. So with those things, with those ideas, I didn't kill the original idea of saying, you can't put seats on the outside of a plane. You have to have them inside the plane. But we may have identified a new couple of ideas that we can build on. Or maybe you find out that there's a demand for family rooms on planes. Maybe the lobby of smokers is so strong that you may want to reconsider revitalizing smoking on planes. All these things. You may not have come up with some of the ideas in the first place if you had killed the idea in the beginning and not developed it. So develop your ideas with yes and. So the second thought is about failing. I believe that failing should be the new hero. You should talk to people that have failed. Is this a failure? This is a really successful businessman, Richard Branson. This guy is so successful that he's even called Sir Richard Branson. He even owns a bloody airline. But is he really successful? This guy is the man who invented Virgin Cola. Have you heard about Virgin Cola? Probably not. It was a great idea with bottles inspired by the shape of Pamela Anderson's body. Fantastic idea. It failed miserably. This man is the man who invented in 2000 Virgin Student, a Facebook-like website, maybe a little bit too early. It got eaten by MySpace. MySpace got eaten by Facebook, and Facebook will be eaten by, let's not talk about that. So we see a serious, I promise not to mention my company name in this presentation. We see a serious serial failure here, my God. But he has two letters on his forehead, an L and a pound sign. So he must have done something really, really right because he learned from his mistakes. And he actually made more mistakes than successes. Sequential failure is not a route towards success. It doesn't stop it. So you need to move on when you fail. You need to move on with your ideas, and you need to be persistent. This guy is a hero. Too often, the conventional equation is failure equals stigmatism. I'm allowed to say this because I'm German. If you fail in Europe, chances are that people stop. They stop ideas early because they get frustrated by the restrictions that come with failure. If you're in the US or in Israel or sometimes in the UK, like our friend Richard Branson, you're just getting started after the third failure. And in fact, many entrepreneurs will tell you, I had to fail 4 companies before I founded the 4th company that really got successful. So if you stop too early by the restrictions that come with failure, you may kill ideas in the beginning. You may stop being expansive, and you need to start being more expansive. So praise those who fail, at least those that take a learning from failure. And you need to also teach your kids early to fail, to learn about failure. Look into a neighborhood in the US on Sunday afternoon. What do you see? You see kids selling lemonade on lemonade stands. You don't see this in Germany. You don't see this in Europe. But what do these guys do? These kids learn to fail. These guys learn entrepreneurship in very early days. Why is this other kid? I don't like this kid from the next door, but he sells more lemonade. What is he doing right? What am I doing wrong? If you teach this early, you can do great things. The third thought is about creating companies through usage and users and not revenue. Forget about revenue. Nobody cares about revenue unless you have something that is so sticky that many users will use it every day. So this is how you typically create a company. What do? You set up a business plan. You go to Microsoft Excel and start adding some numbers. You make some assumptions on how many people do I think are going to use my product? What are they going to pay? How long are they going to use my product? And then you make some assumptions, some loss in the first year, some profit in the second year, amazing profit in year 3, gigantic profit in year 5, and something explosion in year 5. And this is what you sell to your VC company. But is this the right approach? Some of these traditional moves don't take into account enough that you need to take the user into the whole equation as well. User behavior is really important. So what you should do, and this is my advice, is to think about something that I call the toothbrush test. Is your product or your service so sticky, so interesting, and so relevant that people want to use it multiple times a day? Is that the case? If that's the case, chances are that you can generate an audience of millions within a few months, maybe. Right? So there's many companies that have been successful doing that. Think about WhatsApp, Instagram, Pinterest. Many companies have used exactly this phenomenon just because their product did pass the toothbrush test. But it's not a guarantee for success. At Google, I did mention my name. At Google, we had a product called Google Health. It failed. It was a great idea, a database of your medical information that you could share with the doctors that you need to go to. So you could store the X-ray from your ski accident 3 years ago in your database, and you can share it with the next doctor that you would need to go to a year from now. It's a great idea. It didn't go so well. It didn't adopt so well. We didn't have enough users and usage. Maybe because there was a lot of technical challenges in connecting all the clinics and the practices to the system, but probably and likely more so because the product didn't pass the toothbrush test. Right? How often do you go to a website that tracks your medical information if you're not 85? So what? I hear you cry. What does this all mean, and how does this all connect? And what does this mean in real life? I'd like to close with an example that combines these 3 thoughts from a real-life example, a real-life situation. And let's imagine for a second that the situation is really challenging. Let's imagine that you're a family dad and that you're faced with the fact that some doctors tell you that your partner is diagnosed with a real terrifying disease, let's say cancer. Quite obviously, this is a challenge. This is a change in your life. This is a dramatic challenge for you as a family dad. And you could even call it a failure. You know, some body cells didn't work out well. They didn't do their job. That's a pretty tough scenario, right? So imagine you are that family dad. How do you deal with this situation? How do you tell your kids? Do you take the traditional approach and hide it? How do you do this? How do you tell your kids to the facts that your wife may be pretty weak soon? She may be losing her hair through the effects of chemotherapy. It's pretty tough, huh? So 9 months ago, this family dad was me. My wife was diagnosed with early-stage breast cancer. She's fine now. We're all fine now. But it was a challenge. And we did have to deal with this challenging situation of telling the kids how to deal with this. What would they expect? So what did we do? Like many cancer patients, my wife didn't really look forward to the moment when she was losing her hair. And she decided very early that she would shave off her head the moment the first hair would fall out. And then we decided, and you can go back to the airline example, we said, what if we included the kids in this equation? What if we made it a fun event for them? And then we built on this idea. And we said, let's have an afternoon, we all go into the shower, and we give the kids a razor, an electric razor like this, and we all make it a fun event to shave mommy's head. And it was a fantastic success. It was fucking awesome. And then they made the change. The kids made the change. It wasn't some side effect that dealt with mommy. It was them. They were driving this. They were controlling whatever happened. So we turned a terrifying situation, a challenge, a failure if you want, into success. Everybody was happy after that. So obviously, you can't tackle all the challenges, also not all the challenges that we faced in this adventure in the last 9 months, into fun moments. But there are some that allow you to do that if you think creatively. My wife is in great shape today. The kids have developed into the best possible monkeys that you can imagine. They're highly self-confident, maybe because we involved them so much. So again, we consider having turned an enormous challenge into success, into fun things. And you can't do this if you don't think laterally, if you don't think around the corner, as we say in Germany. And also a lot of positive things happened. You know, new friendships evolved. We got a better relationship now, and we lead a more aware life. You remember I said life sucks in the beginning. It doesn't really suck so much, maybe at times. The change, challenge, and failure can really get the best out in us. If you keep developing ideas on how to tackle this, and how to tackle challenge, and how to turn, like in some of these examples, how to turn challenge into something that can be considered as fun or success, you can really do things that you haven't imagined in the first place. So in times of change, go out and find your seats on wings airplane ideas and build on them. The same, of course, is true for the next challenge. If you think that ideas are like mornings, very likely the next morning is up. So there's always going to be a next one. So in the end, this talk is actually a double love story. A love for challenge and tackling this, and a love for people. So I'm not afraid of additional challenges and failures and change, and I look forward to breaking more conventions. Thank you very much.